You mentioned when you have two contradictory wishes, or you mentioned having two contradictory wishes.
Yeah.
Can you explain that? How do you deal with a situation like that, having two contradictory wishes?
It's like it's really just about like kind of seeing what you are truly like what the deeper values are behind each decision that you're wanting, the pros and cons of each situation, you could say. But it's like you can't have two full-time careers. You can't have two different daytime jobs. You can't have two different main businesses. It's like, yeah, for sure you could complete something in the long run over time, or other people call it sacrifice to like let one thing go in order to go for the other, or just kind of like, you know what I mean? As much as everyone says anything's possible, I feel like in this day and age, we get into like a decision paralysis or like a sense of overwhelmingness because there is so much more possible, but not in the same relative sense as like my actual living condition or like environment has to also play along with it. Not to say to be limited by your like, own environment. Like this is a very like gray area because some people can take it negatively, like because people make it out the hood, for quote unquote. They're like, oh, I made it out of my certain like situations. But that's like a 1 in 100 scenario that it's like too high on like the probability of like putting it on chance versus I like to like have more executable steps like, oh, for working out in order to grow at this muscle you need to like execute these like steps of like exercises in X order or Y order consistently and you'll get something, you know what I mean? So it's like hard for me to put something on chance like, oh, like put all your bets on that 1% type of dream. I don't know, maybe it's my pessimistic side or my experiences that I come from. I feel like if you can control the variables, if you can maximize your like certain skill sets within a particular field, you'll have a higher chance versus like, oh, I want to do something completely new, completely different. Like to each their own, but like I feel like I can just come from that point of view of being overwhelmed with, oh, I could be an astronaut, oh, I could be a race car driver, oh, I could be a pilot, oh, to be pilot, or like anything like that. You know what I mean? And then just getting stuck in like, okay, but each one requires a substantial amount of computing power in executing that thing. Like you either have to spend 8 hours doing this or 8 hours doing that. You can't spend four on each because some programs require full time. Some things are like your daytime. So for me, it's like coming from accounting and switching over to medical health science and kind of like making a decision to leave the corporate world behind and go like, you know what, I did it, spent years in it, I experienced it, the American psycho like life, put on the suit and tie, show up, like, okay, I got my mask on. I'm looking like dapper, looking like a Hunter X Hunter member, solid suit, solid drip. But I'm like, after a while, I'm like, okay, what am I like pursuing? What am I like chasing? Am I chasing like something that's making me want to chase it? Or I'm like, okay, I get money, then I can buy things with this money. And then it's like everyone is like accepting me around me. Oh, you're an accountant? Well, what a like societal respectable decision. You're such a like I don't know, like not to like put down people who chose like whatever, but it's like you kind of get like you just have a card of like, okay, this is my accounting card. I swipe it at places and I'm like accepted by society just easily. I don't have to like, oh, I'm a like artist. Okay, what do you do? It's like I don't know. It's a very like like the newer terms, the newer generational like things. I would say that old people, not to again. There's people really progressive old people. There's people who are young and still easily closed-minded. So again, this is not on like age, but the closed-minded people won't necessarily see it. So it's like and you get tired of explaining it all the time to people. Like, oh no, so this is what this means. Like, why are you making that risk? Why are you making that jump? Just go the safe route. So I've also learned not to like necessarily be too outwardly spoken on your like values too quickly, too soon in front of everyone. Then you either out yourself too quickly, not a negative way. You know what I mean? If you let people know that you're XYZ.
Explain that part. What do you mean?
I feel like you have to be innerly aligned with what you're gonna say. So unless you really feel that way about something and you know you're able to like risk the consequences of like saying it out loud, then like go ahead with it. But sometimes it's like speaking something on it too soon also takes away its power, it takes away its like ability to make it come to fruition just because
Yes.
you spend more energy on the words and explaining it to haters and doubters than to actually like in your own, just like the small place I would say having your own headspace, having your own little bubble, or finding your people who equally support you and see that vision for you like you see for yourself. And if you don't have people around yourself, that's when you need to be a little bit narcissistic to like go like, nah, I see my vision through. I see myself being successful regardless of if anyone else sees it or not. So like
Yeah.
sometimes like successful people kind of do look narcissistic sometimes, and when it goes astray, you get the toxic people. But there is like a little bit of like gray area even in this. There's just like I don't know balance between everything. I guess for this Ramadan, I'm learning about just having balance in like everything, like al mizan and like all our ways of life, all our ways of just like doing stuff. But yeah,
Yeah. It's a very important point you made about not speaking too soon about your visions because it's like a flower that's growing and you just kill it. You kill it
just
before it can
gets
even bloom.
yeah, you're like, well, looks good. Let me like pick at it. Let me like look at it. Oh, maybe if I give it to my wife real quick, give it to like. But it's like, nah, let it sit there for a while. Let that beauty be. Let it like work on it.
Yeah, let
And
that
when
beauty be until it's ready to flower.
and the flower will show in of itself. Like it'll just like bloom. That enough will be as like evidence of its beauty. You know what I mean? How to like click it, like pull it out,
Yes.
like
Yeah,
break it.
some
Not to
things
like
don't need words to justify them. Some things just justify themselves by their existence.
yeah, and, like even if like other people don't necessarily see it or value it. An example is like just now that my work and everything is like from home mostly, I see how much work there is inside the house on a day-to-day basis, and it's like usually the housemaker role is very underlooked upon. And I've been getting a lot of like just like I don't know if it's because of Ramadan algorithm. I've been getting a lot of Islamic videos on like just things related to everything. And then a topic that came across was like the value of women and like the what's the word? Like the certain hadiths that or like certain like lines in the Quran that have like said some things related to it. It's like it's just like another look at it and historical context you look at it. And the other thing was that like the person who does the most sometimes doesn't get recognition or some things go wrong and they feel like it's not like justified because no one's observing it. There's no like you know what I mean? There's no like karma happening right away. Like why or how could something bad happen and allow it to continue to exist? Or some like this form of like way of thinking. But always like a
You cut off a little bit, and I'm not sure I'm understanding what you're saying fully. What do you mean by the karma, so to speak?
like an example would be like this whole situation with the world going on and how like it seems like evil powers just have a natural ride to success. Like scheming, giving into the system, playing it easy, doing the typical route will lead you to societal success. And I feel like that is what I'm like, you know what I mean? Not in a
Have you
negative
seen a
way.
lot
That
of
it's like
that in your corporate experience? Have you seen vile people ride the tides of success?
it's not vile. It's like you don't really say anything. So it's just like it's not like the people who like make there's not 99 bad doers. It's like one bad doer, and there's like 99 people who just don't really do anything about it. Which I'm not trying to like criticize on. That's what I'm saying. Like it's not to like it's just like an observational neutral look, being someone who's done been on both spectrums of like
What is
meeting.
an example of that in your corporate experience, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know for sure. I would say that like we even within the Desi community and the place I don't want to mention it for like not to like ouch people. This is just like a small thing where it's like I worked in like a small firm and I was doing an accounting of like a person who is quote unquote Muslim, even if they're a different sect. For sure, they could be Shia, Ismaili. Not to say I'm not to make it political, not to make a religious talk, but if someone goes under the banner of like Muslim, I expect them to like I don't know, not to expect things out of anyone either. Not to say like you need to like you expect out of yourself first for sure. You expect those like behaviors and changes in yourself, so not to like again, it's like observational talk out that I'm trying to just say that it's like you'll just go with okay, 725 is a federal minimum. I'm also gonna do the same thing, knowing that I have to pay a fair wage. That's just like not just like a societal duty. That's like in Islam as well. If you want to be like a Muslim or whatever you want to call it, it's not just about the five prayers. You're like certain values, certain ethics, certain like ways of being that are also aligned with that following. You know what I mean? Like if when you think of a Buddhist, when you think of a monk, you think of a peaceful spiritual person. But it's like, and not to say like, yeah, for sure, there's a scheme against the world, against Muslims, for sure. Like they'll label us as terrorists, but like, how come? Why don't we have a strong emphasis on like, yo, as a Muslim, you know, the nine times out of nine, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna be a peaceful person because that's what I've just been shown. No, like, there's no like any negative connotation to monk or Buddhist other than like, yeah, he's passive, he's peaceful. But why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we should exemplify that within just the way we are supposed to follow. Like, if we're gonna fast for this much, for this long, and restrict ourselves, not just in the food wise, but mentally, physically, emotionally, like control yours. It's not to say like each feeling is gonna show up, so it's equally real. It's not like a pseudo like thing. Oh, just don't do it. It's like legit things are coming up. Legit impulses come up. Hunger is a real thing, and you all have to do it just for the sake of like a spiritual sense. Your willpower. You're just, you know what I mean? Like you sometimes like I'm noticing now that
Whoa,
I'm like,
I wanted to pause you for a second and say I don't know what you mean. I kind of do, but I don't.
okay, my bad.
I
Yeah, I'm
feel
kind of
like
like jumping multiple topics, so I get that.
yeah, yeah.
It's
No,
but like
but this is interesting because it seems like you have a lot to say, which I am attracted to. But they just they keep splitting into so many different
yeah.
branches.
My bad, but this is like the fasted brain.
The
Like I know,
fasted
like
brain. I like that term.
yeah.
I like you coined that, huh? Fasted brain.
No, actually, I
That's
was
a
at
good
the
one.
masjid and I heard like someone talk about it, and they were having like a yapping session behind me,
No,
and I'm
that's a
just
good
sitting
one
there
though.
listening
Whoever
to
came up
them.
with that, that is a good one. The fasted brain. It's a real thing. It is a real thing.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like it's been
Yeah.
like a noticeable difference in just like the small minor things.
On
And
that
you
note,
know,
by the way, I actually met you in Ramadan 3 years ago now.
oh
Isn't that
no way! I
crazy?
knew it was like, oh, that's lit. That's so really cool.
And I think that's the
Mashallah.
last time I saw you too, in the
It
flesh,
was
three
like the
years
last few
ago.
months of like the uni like semester. And then
It-
coincidentally, I started seeing it at every like organization that I was showing up at too. So we were both involved in like relatively the same spaces.
yeah, but that was such a short time period that I knew you in though. That was just a few months, and then you disappeared. At least we never crossed paths since. Well, what happened? Where did
Yeah,
you go?
I just went and left like UHD. So the thing was, I didn't even go to U of H main campus.
I
I
remember.
was enrolled at UHD for accounting, and because I there was not that many people there, the Muslim community was dead there. I
That's what
would
I heard.
after my classes would just show up to U of H, and then I would spend all my day there. And I'm like, if I'm here, might as well like enjoy it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
That
not
was a
be
good time.
secluded, not to like be in like a corner and just homework, study, pray, leave. I'm like, I'm in like an environment where I'm not gonna get this again. I'm not gonna be surrounded by like multiple individual lives happening all simultaneously, crossing paths every day. Like you don't know what's gonna happen. There's like different things happening, different brains coming together. And yeah, like that time, even though it was like a month, that was like a solid experience. That it's like yeah, like sometimes you just need a few moments to like get to know someone, and it's like more enriching than like years with someone. You'll just go pass by, and then you're like, oh, I met this guy one time, and it was a much
Yeah.
more enriching experience than it's like, oh, I got this friend
You
I've seen for years.
you really feel the loss of that after you leave school. And I've
Yeah.
realized more and more it's up to the individual person to bring back that that
Yeah.
phenomenon of just meeting new people. That like it's up to the individual to go out themselves now into the world
Mm.
and meet new people. Yesterday my kid cousin, he was asking me, he goes, "Are all your friends from school?" And I paused and I thought about it and I said, "No, actually, they're all from different places." And that is because I've made an effort to meet new people in so many different places. But if I didn't make that effort
Yeah.
after school, your life would just be so local to your family, your local masjid, work, the people around
That's
you.
even
That's
if
it.
you go to those spaces or
That's even if you go to those spaces.
involve yourself in those spaces. You can show up to
Yeah,
many things, but you're not if you're not really there and present, you're not gonna be there and present. Like people will just like for example, like people will make fun of the Desi uncles in like a Desi environment when it comes times to like post iftar, clean up. They're all like sleeping, snoring on the couch after their cup of chai while everyone like is doing the work of like putting things away.
maybe at your
For
masjid.
example, not like not much, just like at home, like like it's like
Oh, okay, okay.
the typical conservative Desi environment that you would like someone would imagine in a conservative household. Like my dad used to be like that, just like thinking a woman's job is a woman's job, but it's like me and my brothers grew up with older sisters, so we just saw it as like not you. Sometimes some things you just do regardless of gender. Like you just kind of like get up and do whatever you can because you're part of a household and like you're part of a unit. So just like in gaming, even the healer needs has its own role, even if they're not doing damage. There's like tank roles just because they're not like high damage, they have their own role. Everyone has like a specific role they play, and it's okay for like you not to be an expert in everything. But I feel like everyone does have something you would be more higher stated in versus like your like siblings or another person. And together you can make a full like 5 wheel like I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, like that
I
XP
do.
thingy. Yeah, that you combine and for sure you deal with their like tolerances. You have sabr to like deal with the incongruency or whatever. I feel like it's like that's why God says in like scripture, it's like he's like the few bonds that I say you can't break are the familial bonds.
Yeah.
Like for sure you can make
Blood.
friends and then you lose them, you go forward. But if your family does you wrong, it's like it's more highly favorable to make amends and to heal it and to do what I mean, to work it out versus like treating it like another friend relationship. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, there's another guy. Oh, this is another friend. Oh, like this guy's making me mad. I'm gonna cut him off. It's like you can't really do that with your fam. and then you
Yeah.
realize, oh, I gotta really get along with you. Like, even though I don't want to, even if we aren't similar, we have disagreements. I just gotta learn how to get along with you
It's an
in a way,
excellent
not to
point.
like make it pessimistic. Yeah, but
Yeah, Noman Ali Khan, he gave a great lecture about that. I know what you're talking about. It's a very good point.
oh shoot, Naman Khan gave like a speech on it or like a lecture about it.
Yeah, it was a really good one too. And yeah, you can't break
That's what.
blood bonds. That's a gift from the divine, I suppose. I mean, it is. But you're half Arab, if I remember correctly, Palestinian.
Heck no, I'm 100%
No?
Pakistani.
Wait a second.
I'm
No way.
100% Paki to the core.
I've been mistaken for years. But was that
Yeah.
was that something that you would tell people? I remember you would have the
Oh
Palestinian
no.
necklace.
That was because like one of my closest friends gave it to me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This whole time I thought you were half Palestinian.
Bro, I look like everything in like Hispanic spaces. I get confused with like being a little bit like Hispanic or Mexican, and then
Wow.
Arab places. Yeah, I get Arab confusion a lot.
This is
But then if
interesting.
like once you see me as Pakistani, then you just see me as Pakistani because you're like, oh, I see
Yeah.
your. It's like I taste the biryani flavors on you.
When I was a kid, I used to think Pakistani just meant Pakistani and everybody was the same. And then I grew up and I realized,
Everyone
wow,
else the
there's so
same.
much diversity in Pakistan. Like people are very different. And it didn't hit me until recently that my dad is technically a mixed person. Even though
Just
he's
mhm.
Pakistani, like his
Oh,
dad
there's like
was
yeah, you told
Pathan
me.
and his
Yeah,
mother was not. And there's that mix. Even my own mother, her parents come from different cultural groups in Pakistan. And I think about them like, even though you're under the umbrella of the same culture, there's
yeah,
still different subgroups in that culture. And it's like everybody's a mix almost. It's
yeah,
interesting.
100%. It's like we lose so much culture, we lose so much individuality, and like so much of our own spectrum of like the whole cultural experience of what it is to be Pakistani when we just label as Pakistani. But yeah, like I don't know myself what I am because I keep mixing it up with a bunch of like different things. But yeah, like I learned there's so many different provinces, regions, and then different people from different areas have like different skin tones, hair types. Like they look different too. It's not even just like a same like, oh, you look the same. That looks like your cousin. It's like nah. There's like some people. I recently learned about a new ethnicity from India. It's like I forgot the name. It starts with a K. The Konkani people or something like that. That I'm just like, oh, there's more individual tribes and like regions, and each one of us had our own unique, what's it called, hand in the overall culture of what it is to be Pakistani. Like some places Hyderabadi biryani, or like this type of biryani. Even though it's biryani, but there's like even depending on the region, they make it differently. They use their own spices, they use their own mix, and that comes from like their like actual like environment. Maybe this place is more drier, so they can only grow more chilies. This place is like more northern. They got like more fish, or like they have this. They got more goats in their region, so all their dishes are goat. Like one of my friends found out chapli kebabs mostly originate from Afghanistan, like from that region first. It's not necessarily Pakistani 100%. It has its roots from like a different culture. Just like Urdu, it's in it like I believe it's like a mix of like Farsi and Hindi, or I
And
might be wrong.
Turkish and Arabic. Yeah.
Oh, it's a mix of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like our even our own language is like a unique blend of like spices, and it created its own like.
Yeah. Urdu actually in Turkish, Urdu it means
Mhm,
army is what it means. And the way that it got that term or that name was
mhm.
when the different armies, the Muslim armies came to the subcontinent. There were Persians, there were Turks, there were Arabs, and then they come into contact
Okay.
with the people here, and that language becomes a combination of all those things.
Yo, I see. That makes sense. That's why like we have drastic differences, but a relatively similar underlying feature. So there was probably like a group of brown people already here, and which each different person coming in, bringing in their own unique genetic variation.
Yeah. And
Like,
speaking of, culture and food, I was eating halim the other day, and
okay,
I looked at my mom and I asked her, "Do you think people in Mohenjo-daro would eat halim? The ancient civilization in Pakistan, would they have eaten this food?" And she's like,
that's the
"I don't
name of
know. That's a
that
good
group.
question." Well, there was a place actually. It's right outside of Karachi. It's called Mohenjo-daro, and it was one of the
Mhm.
earliest civilizations in that area. And
Oh, no
yeah, so
way.
the reason I brought up the question was we're from that area, right, of
Right,
Pakistan,
yeah.
and we're eating this food that's so Pakistani, but the ancestors that lived there thousands of years ago, they probably had a different cuisine, but it's
Mm,
the same land, you know? Isn't that the
yeah.
interesting thing about it?
Yeah, 100%. Like there's always people migrating. There's always people moving around. But low-key, I feel like Halim, there probably was like a version of it in the past.
Must have been, right?
And it's like a, I've heard it was like a more of a, can't think of the word, but it's like it was looked at slop. Not even slop, but it's like it's
Oh,
a mixture of a bunch of different like lentils, ground beef. So you would use like a more hardened, tough piece of cut of beef and you would let it stew in it. Lentils, it's seen as like just like, not meat. It's like just like vegetables type. It's a great, I don't know what would you even call a lentil? Like is it
I
lentils
just
its own
lentil.
category?
Lentil's a lentil.
Yeah.
To me, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like yes, yeah. I'm thinking of like protein, carbs, or like fat, or like trying to like
Oh,
distinct.
I I would assume carb. I would assume, but I don't know.
Right, yeah, because it is heavy carbs, and you could like replace it with like a grain. I was thinking of like, or even grain.
I guess, but in any case, it's great food. It definitely fills you up in the belly.
Yeah, I guess yeah, that's what I was gonna go with. It's just like you feed like a worker that like Nahadi, a lot of desi food. The reason why it's so oily is because like you would eat one meal and you would just get to work, and then fat gives you the most amount of like long term fuel rather than just like a quick sugar or carb rush. So
Yeah.
eating more fats in that environment where you wake up at like Fajr time, you eat like a bowl of Nahadi. It's like love with a naan with like like the oil people assume, but it's not even oil, it's like beef fat. So it's like a good form of cholesterol, good form of fat. It's not just saturated.
Nihari is the best breakfast. If you have
Oh,
a day old Nihari and you heat that thing up and you have it for breakfast with some naan, that is amazing. And I had a guy on here, we talked about it a little bit, where how, like in the Mughal Empire, for example, Nihari was specifically a breakfast item because people, as you said right now, it gives you all that energy. You work for the rest of the day.
you're
It
good.
fills you up for the rest of the day.
It's like a coal and like your like train. It's
Yeah.
gonna burn longer than wood. It's gonna like sustain you. It heats
Something
you up.
I've been thinking about recently, because we're talking about food, is how the
Yeah.
Persians make the best chicken. If you ever had Persian chicken, it tastes remarkable. I
I
mean, it's
I
it's
guess they're like
literally the
more fish out.
definition of scrumptious. Literally, it's amazing.
Is there like a specific one or just like most Persian dishes like that you
It's just the barg, the chicken barg, little kebabs, or they're not
Oh
kebabs. They're
yeah.
it's just the cut pieces of chicken, little pieces of chicken that
Mhm.
you get to eat. The botis, as you'd say in Urdu.
Yeah. Like the breast piece? Because is it like
Smaller,
is it
even
a whole?
smaller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see. No, I feel yeah, I was saying shish taouk is also like in that from that same region.
I think so.
I don't know if it's
Or
Palestinian or if it's Arab or specifically what it would be.
well, interesting thing about that dish is tavuk in Turkish means chicken. I don't know if it means chicken in other languages as well, but
Oh, so you really just say chicken when you
chicken, chicken. Yeah,
That's funny. I guess yeah, they
yeah,
could, like label as a chicken spice for them. When you said taouk, it's like a reference to it. But yeah, in a literal translation, it's like meaning something else completely.
yeah. Man, languages, culture, food, all these things changing with people traveling. And I mean, for us, we're so fortunate that we live in Houston. Houston is, in my opinion,
Yeah, I
the
love
halal
that.
food capital of the states. I mean, this is where
Yeah,
the food is really packing a punch.
I feel like yeah, Houston is becoming its own new like type of city, like New York is seen as in Los Angeles or like Toronto. It's like I feel like because Houston is most like so recent. Is my voice good? Sound like
Your
I'm
voice
error
is
message.
fine. Yeah.
Okay. But it's like I feel like in a few years, or even right now, like when you say Houston, people know it. When you say that you're from Houston, they have like a certain outlook. It might not be correct. They're like, "Oh, you're from Texas. You're like a cowboy. You got horses walking around." It's like, nah. There's some people that do know what Houston's like, and when you say it, they're like, "Yeah, it's like Houston." Then you don't really reference it to like a East, West, South city. But I don't know. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
I haven't traveled enough to like get everyone's experience. But now Houston has its own airport airline that travels
Oh.
directly to Japan.
Oh, yes, I heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that means Houston has become mainstream enough for them to consider it as an investment. But yeah, there are a lot of people who want to travel. So it is a bustling city. It is like its own, name on the map.
Yeah.
That it's been like a cool, and I know that's like yeah, it's a cool experience to have been to be part of the Houston community, to have it so readily available, to not even know what it's like.
There's
For
something
sure,
hot about being a part of the Houston community. That's literally
mm,
the word, something hot about it. It's like we're on fire in a way.
I feel like it's both. It's like recently I read in like the Quran and like just like a few lectures I was listening to. It's like your strengths will also be your very own weaknesses in a way, like what you're good at, what you're like naturally skilled towards, or your like natural, like like uh what's the word? Not attributes, but like a way of being, your like aptitude. It's like it might be your own strength or your own weakness in that sense. And like you said, that where Houston's kind of on fire. It's like we're hot, but we're both literally hot and we're like metaphysically and like hot on the scene, but like we're also like equally just like a hot potato that it's reaching. It's like okay, it's getting too hot to like hold, and
I like
it's
that
like
analogy you have there. That's a cool connection.
you know what I mean?
The
It's
I do, and it's interesting because a few days ago I went to Texas Sahur Fest in Sugarland, and
mhm.
I remember it started like in the middle of the night, and then it went on throughout until Fajr. And so I got in my car in the middle of the night, and I'm driving on the highway, and I'm going, and I'm passing through the city, or through the highways where I can see a bunch of buildings, and I remember thinking to myself, how beautiful is this opportunity? That to live in a city like
uh,
this where there's a lot of people around me, a lot of people that I still don't even know exist. And I'm heading
yeah,
to an event where there's more people like me and I don't know that they exist, but there's an opportunity
yeah,
to meet them. It's really cool because there's some places where it's very small. It's a very small community. And similar to what we were talking about earlier, you have to make that effort to put yourself in those situations because you could just remain local to your neighborhood and not know anybody there at all and just go to work,
mm,
come back home. But again, there's that wonderful opportunity of being in such a big city where there are so many people and it's on you if you take a chance to get to know them or not.
yeah, 100%. Knock on wood, not to jinx it, because
I don't believe in jinxes.
like I see, I
No,
see what
it's
you.
it's an interesting point actually that you brought up there
Yeah,
because I remember there was a time in my life where I was thinking like, man, but what if omens are real and this and that? And I opened this one Islamic app actually, and one of the reminders in there was there's no such thing as omens. We just believe in the decree of Allah. There's no such thing as omens.
I see. Like whatever happens, happens. So even if you didn't do an omen or you didn't do it, it's
Yeah,
always
and
still
in many ways, it's I think also a mental game.
like what you believe in it. It'll like what you give your thoughts like attention to. That's the outcome that will happen, or like what.
Yeah, I think
Do you
in many
like
ways
that?
that's a perennial truth. What you focus on, what you concentrate on. Not to sound like a fairy tale person, but
Mhm.
I think there is a real connection. What you focus on grows in a way.
I agree. 100% agree with you that it's like this is like back when I was riding, like taking like motorcycle like riding lessons. There was something like really profound that like the instructor told me that kind of stuck with me, where he was like, in a motorcycle where you look, you'll that's where you'll go. So even if you're trying to like turn away from a pothole, something that's in your path, or like even if it's not in your path and you end up looking at it and you're just staring at it, you'll notice your like bike will just end up flowing there, or you'll just end up going wherever you're looking. If you just, you know what I mean, like subconsciously just going about it. So instead of looking at it, you're supposed to then look at your route. Like you acknowledge the presence of an obstacle or something being there, and then you're supposed to directly shift your like attention to like, okay, that's there. Let me like see what my route is going to be out, rather than just like, okay, it's there. I'm gonna just like free flow, continuously going while just staring at a bad, like you said, even in mentally going about my day subconsciously, but I'm like focusing on like, okay, but what if this worst case happened? What if like this happened? And even in like, if it's not the worst case, I guess that's what you also would call anxiety, where you're just like constantly worried about the worst case scenario or something negative, or like something out of your control happening and trying to gain control over that outcome, like overly assigning how much control you really have to something. I feel like the difference will bring in that level of anxiety in you. If you're a control freak, you're like, I gotta control like all outcomes, everything, but you also are the most tense. And some people thrive in it for sure. Some people like get more energy from being like riled up, and it works, but not for everyone. And it's like recognizing just kind of that like moment, that experience of like, hey, what is my source of energy from? Where it's like, have you seen like Avatar, like the Last Airbender? Not to like, I guess veer off, not to like even branch out more.
Before I answer that question, I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to mention one thing. Noman Ali Khan, he had a quote. He said, "What you want is what you desire. What you have is what Allah desires." And I thought that was very profound. And I think it's in line of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, what
So
you want is what you desire, and then what you have is what Allah desires.
yeah, and
Okay, oh,
it's not
yeah.
supposed to crumble your hope. It's supposed to enliven you. That oh, okay. So where I'm at right now, this is where I'm supposed to be. There's still
Mm.
opportunity to grow.
I see. That's like a more
But
half glass full type of look that you have, because it's like you're right. That statement doesn't have any like blame or anything that like kind of like tells you which way to look. It's like, yeah, if you come from an optimistic, more glass half full type of look, you're like, okay, what I have right now is God will, but it also doesn't tell me to not keep on pursuing for my ambitions. It doesn't really
yes,
say in it to like stop having hopes, to stop having certain desires, but like being patient in the pursuit of it is what I have right now is God willed. The situation I'm in is like, yeah, by God's like timing. So it's not on my timing. All I could really control is like, okay, I can get up, do the most I can every day, and just be prepared for when opportunity strikes. It's like if I never did the work and then God sends an opportunity and I'm like, oh wait, I have to like still catch up on this many like actionable things. But it's like if I had just continuously, when the opportunity came, it would have just connected.
yeah,
But because I'm
it's
not
so
ready for it.
funny that you're saying that because it reminds me of this thing I read one time where it's like
Mm-hmm.
one of the worst moments in life is when you meet the perfect person, but you're not you yourself are not in the state you want to be in yet. It's like, oh
Bruh,
God,
dog,
this
that's
is
the
terrible.
time. That's the what's the time will tell of like in like every opportunity, every person that we meet, everything that we do has like you could do everything right and it still will feel like the wrong timing. Like you know what I mean? Sometimes you still pray, you still make all your obligatory things, you read the dua, and something still won't happen or come true. And being okay with that, to know that there's probably something more better for me in this, rather than the like actual like why didn't I get it? Rather than spending that time into the why, going like, you know what, it did happen. What can I learn from it? What can I grow from it? Even if you know what I mean, even if you did everything right, it's like, okay, where do I need to set up my like codes within the
That
system to like raise flags, to like raise my own guard up eventually as life goes on, rather than to be continuously, not to put a negative label on it, but naive and kind of like a hopeless romantic. For my experience of me being a hopeless romantic, it's like knowing what you are, and then like with each experience, going like, how can I like better myself, even if
yeah.
you did everything right in a situation, for example.
That's the crux of it, what you're saying right there. That's the most interesting part. Even when you did everything right. That is,
Yeah,
I think, such a beautiful moment of learning and growing. When things don't work, even when you did everything right. Because then you sit there and you
yeah,
wonder, okay, so how could I make this even better? Sort of thing. Or what could I let go of to make things better? But
yeah.
going back to Avatar The Last Airbender, because I think this is really the arch of this conversation that I wanted to have with you. Let go your earthly tether, enter the void.
Yeah,
Zahir from the Legend of
no, it's
Korra.
Guru Lahima.
Or actually,
It's
you're
the
right. It
great
is
old
Guru
wise.
Lagima. It's Guru Lagima. He quotes Guru Lagima. You're right.
Yeah,
Your name is Zahir. Isn't that an
yeah.
interesting connection?
Facts, dude. He knew what he was talking about. He was a like I like how like most of Avatar's things involved is kind of like taken from real life beneficial things and not just a made up power skill system without really anything. Like for sure he said that and he gained flight, but in a way it's really about letting go of your like shit, of your desires, of what you want,
I like how you
and
said that
just
in
be
Urdu.
okay with yeah, and just be okay with the flow of it and just be in a
Yes.
peaceful Sakoon state as equal to as flying.
Yeah.
And then like to
It,
like you got it.
no, I was just gonna say him and Amon. They were the most interesting characters in that entire universe, in my opinion.
Amon was from
Legend of
like the
Korra, and
water building.
he was from the Northern Tribe, and he was a bloodbender.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he became like the spiritual like
He
was
became
it
like the new age, we don't need benders, anti-bender movement kind of a thing.
was it season one or like when he had like the mask on and he like
Yes. He was a
oh
deadly
and
villain. They got rid of him too quickly. He was a deadly
yeah,
villain.
and he was the
But
brother of one of them and then like he turned on
Tarlock, yes, the
yeah.
mayor or one of the councilmen of that city. Yeah.
Okay, bro,
The
that was
puppet
like
stick.
yeah, he was top two for sure. That was like
Yeah.
have you heard about the
Yeah.
new like airbender that's being like um worked on like
I always hear news, but it's always just news. I
no,
never see them,
this
the
time it was like
projects.
I see what you mean. You are right. That is like a realistic take, but I heard they're working on a new like I think this was confirmed. I can't remember. I can't recall now that you mentioned it, but for I thought it was a confirmed source saying they're working on a new avatar that's post Korra, and it's like a more dystopian world. It's more like a I can't think of the word, but like a more like how the first Avatar with Aang was very like bright sunshine. Even though it had dark themes, it was more of a bright show. This one is gonna be more of like a darker take, for sure. And
Mm.
I hope it'll have the same like deep plot and like actual like more than just the surface like looks and like nice animation. It's like a deeper storyline, plot, things, whatever they go through, character development. That I
Yeah,
hope it is.
I remember when I first watched the series when it came out as a kid. I really liked season one and season three, and I thought they were amazing. But when I rewatched the show as I got a little older, I remember season two was the one that really stood out to me, and I was like, that was an amazing season. But I,
That
I
was
really didn't like that season at all when I was a kid. And it's interesting because yesterday my mom was talking to me, and she was like, I highlight different things when I'm reading the Quran. And then when I revisit those surahs, I'll read something that I didn't highlight and I'll be like, wow, what a fantastic thing. But I just didn't see it before in the same way.
mm,
Isn't that the interesting thing about life? How when you revisit something, you see it differently. And as you're mentioning with that show, Aang's world was bright and this one is going to be kind of dark. It's things change with time. The perspectives change with time.
yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I agree. I guess that's also just like on the way to just come back to things that we like think or initially come to a belief system. I feel like in a since to like relate it to a different thing of what you just said. Uh, Sometimes we come to like a decision, we come to like a feeling, we come to like a certain like viewpoint, and then I feel like I noticed like what you said, like yeah, like just coming back to it and you revisit your own like book or a scenario, you notice a lot of new things. You notice a lot of like different things. And like you said, yeah, when I study, I'll run through the textbook the whole pages I have to read, and then I come back to it and I'm like, wait, I didn't remember anything. I know I physically read everything. I know I said every word, but it by the end of it, I'm like, where did the 20 minutes go? Like I just like scanned through a bunch of paper and I have to physically reread it. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Like my brain went through it. It's like putting a paper through a scanner and it just comes out blank. You're like, wait, hold up. Let me put
That's a
it
good
again.
example. That's a good example.
Because it's like your brain is like reading. And another like funny analogy, I know not to like branch it off more, but that's what I'm doing. It's like when I study like anatomy and I look at the body, I'm like the brain produced everything. It created all of it, yet when it's looking at it, it's like, what is that? Like like is that
Hmm.
blood? Like, even though, bro, you're the source code, you made everything, and yet
Wow.
when you look at it, you don't know how like the cellular breakdown is. You can't recall like the formula, the equation. You're like, let me go into my root drive. Let me pull up like the source code for like building like new like
That's a really
synthesizing
good
like stem
example
cells.
too. That is a really good example.
There in a way, just like yeah, I just was. This is a funny thing that I like just think about. It's like I'm doing more, we're learning more and more about the body. I'm like, there's all that stuff is like under our nose. It's like right within us. It's housed inside you, and
Yeah.
yet there's a whole world you don't like. That kind of makes me
That's why we
also.
need movies like Inside Out to teach us a little something.
That's like if you can even see that. There was like a lot of people I saw on social media say that Kendrick Lamar halftime show was meant to be a political statement. I didn't really watch the halftime show. I didn't really watch the Super Bowl. I got there late to my friend's house, and I didn't really care about it. But from other people's perspective of it, there was some people who completely missed it, who didn't like it. They're like, "Oh, it's not that good," and then other people are like, "Yo, this is like a whole like double entendre." It's like it's speaking on just
What does
more
that
than
mean again? I forgot what that means. Double entendre.
it's like two meanings at once.
Hmm.
Like something can have like you know just because it's coming at you this way doesn't mean there isn't another perspective.
Interesting. Yeah, I thanks for sharing that. Going back to the Legend of Korra for a second. I don't know if you noticed this, but as a kid I remember noticing in season 3, the Red Lotus, the two top guys were Zaheer and Kazan, which are both Muslim names,
Hassan
and
is the guy from
the lava bender.
with the okay, I see what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah, but what I was gonna say was
like both Muslim names.
that's both Muslim names, and they were referred to as terrorists in that show, and
Oh,
that's like
Okay.
Nobody else, as far as I can remember, in the Legend of Korra or the Last Airbender was ever referred to as terrorists. But Ghazan and Zaheer, these Muslim names, these guys were referred to as terrorists. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but I remember thinking
That's
about
like,
them. Like,
no, I
that
actually
is so
did not.
weird,
It's
especially
like
for
a
a show that's supposed to be considered very,
like child friendly, like bond
well, not even child
bias.
friendly, but it's almost like what's the term? Inclusive, I guess, or new age
Oh
thinking.
yeah, because it had like the gay like Cora like take like which is so like
So for a show like that, it was very interesting to me that that's how they alienated the Muslims. Even if it seems like a very surface level thing, it's still a jab. Jab is what a jab is.
no, that's actually it's like that's exactly how I feel like they slowly chip away at it. It's just like how with all the news article headlines, they'll report a war crime just because they label it in a way that slips under your radar. You're just like, oh yeah, it was just like a regular attack, but it's really just like a war crime. Like in a couple years ago, in the past, they would label Russia as like Cold War. You know, they're such villains, atrocious people, and yeah, it's just because you're like, oh, I don't want to spread communism, and now like you got them shaking hands with like Russia, and yet the news articles are just like, yeah, whatever's happening is happening. A whole ceasefire contract is broken. They're like, yeah, it was just another like slight attack. And
It
it's
kind
like
of feels like
even if they're
dystopian
reporting on it,
times
it's like
in a way.
yeah,
Feels like dystopian. Another thing,
it's like
again, I'm taking it back to Avatar, but I wanted to mention this to
yeah,
you.
yeah.
There's a lot of talk about CIA involved in different things, and
I agree with
just as
that
a
though.
person, like the first thought that always comes back to my mind is if you remember in Bossing, say the Dai Li, I always, for some reason, I just think of
So,
them as like CIA,
but
brainwashing people.
yeah, that's so real. It's like yeah, the hidden agenda like organization. Like they're not like the public force everyone knows
Yeah,
about them, but they like just show up. Like they're
and
different
not
from street guards and like you know.
yeah, but
So it's
not
like
only
like
that, like that's not where it stops because if you remember, Azula of the Fire Nation infiltrated, and now suddenly the Dai Li are loyal to the Fire Nation.
oh yeah, that's like yeah, like you know, like as soon as you buy out that like the manager or the head of the FBI or CIA,
Yeah, what was
now
that
the
guy's
whole
name? Fang
organization.
something? Long Fang?
I think so. I can't
Kicked him
remember.
out. Yeah,
Like the previous like leader of the Daily.
yeah, yeah.
Nah, I feel you, but like, and I agree with you that it's like organizations, whoever the owner is, whoever the like stockholder is, it's like everyone bends to their will, everyone bends to like whoever is paying the bucks. And just like that in that show, it's like someone
As you
infiltrates it.
were mentioning with the corporate world, as you've seen. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, like for me,
interesting.
I just had a too much of a pessimistic look of it. For sure, there's startups. For sure, there's good organizations. There's people who do things right. But I was like, if I'm going to be a part of something and just focus on the money to like look away from like my beliefs, my values. I'm not just yeah, not to speak on anyone else's like lines or values that they have for themselves, what they're doing for their family, what they do for their like livelihood. But I feel like there needs to be some kind of context, some kind of like a place to go off from that should be standardized, just like someone's like belief. If they are a part of a belief, it's like there should be a set of standard beliefs that should be equally shared that are not just ritualistic, but they're more of a characteristic type of like mindset of like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like we have like zakat and sadaqah within our religion already incorporated, and that's more aligned with a social welfare look of society. It doesn't really lean towards free market, you know, do whatever you can in business to like cut out the competitor, pay the most minimum wage in order to make a profit. It says you got to pay someone enough for them to, you know, buy bread, live a dignified life. So if you hire someone, that's like an equal responsibility. If you participate in society, when you go out in public, you know, you're expected to like not be nude. So like you're not like it's not like public indecency. You're not you can't be publicly drunk, so you're not like violating other people's like free space and free right. So if we are to like believe in that, and if America is such a like land of the free, there also needs to be a standardized line of like what is free to the public, what is like standardized like way of life for everyone, like universal healthcare, standardized like what I mean, education, not necessarily having like different like brackets of like private schools are like this is that. For sure, what someone decides to do with what they've been given is up to them, but it's not up to us to go like who do I did choose to give more or give less. It's like there should be a standard, like what I mean. Like when you do zakat, you just give. You're not necessarily like if they're this condition, if they're this race, if they're
Mm.
this, if they meet these requirements, that's who gets help. It's like no,
You
you
don't
just
decide who's the prettiest homeless person to pay.
yeah, you just have like a standardized thing. Like okay, you know what? If you have $10,000, there's five people split evenly among to like give them like market rate value of like. But it's like they'll do market rate value when they want to sell their assets, when they want to like make money. They'll be like, oh, let's look at what the fair commodity price is. Let's be reasonable. And then when it comes time to like shorting people, when it comes time to like pulling the rug under people, it's like yeah, there's like laws and hundreds of ways to like get out of it,
No,
protect
I know
yourself.
what you mean. I'll give you an example. I was watching a show on Hulu yesterday, and
Yeah,
it
what's it
played an
called?
ad, and I
Oh,
watched like the minute long ad, and I was like, okay. And then it goes on for like 10 seconds, and then the ad plays again, and I'm like, what is this error? Like I already watched your ad. Why are you giving me another one? And it's
yeah.
like you can rip me off by giving me more ads, but you can't do it the other way. I can't be like, hey, I don't want this ad anymore. No one's gonna listen to me. They're just gonna like you have to watch the ad. That's what it is.
I feel you 100%. It's like even when they don't have run out of ad space, they don't even have like different things to show you. They'll spam the same thing again and again just
Yeah,
to be able to like, oh, this quarter we made a profit, this quarter we made a profit. It's like, okay, show
yeah,
them more ads. And then like the 30-minute video gets broken down into more segments. Like, okay, we could place another ad here. We could place another ad here. It's like, yo, that's not what the like function of AI and and transitioning and advancing as a society. We were supposed to all just have more chill, like a more sukoon standardized way of living. But instead, it's like a very I can't think of the word, but it's like only a few have an extremely sukoon chill life, and while a majority have like a stressed out, harder paycheck to paycheck life that they gotta like. Even if it is upper middle class, some people are still working paycheck to paycheck. As soon as my like engineering like job fires me, yeah, I'm not gonna make 300K no more. But just because I'm making 300K or like whatever amount of money I'm making, but my expenses are equally like 259. It's like I
yeah.
gotta like still behave and act in a certain way of like I'm not gonna what I mean? Like some people vote for what they assume their
Behavior
interests align
buys
to.
your wage. That is true. That is very true. That's we'll know we're really living in dystopian times when Netflix starts giving you ads, eh?
On God, like we're going back to like the typical like cable TV. Like it's nothing anything different.
No, for real. Dude, you mentioned American Psycho. Have you had any encounters with real life American psychos in the corporate world? And if so, how have you navigated those situations?
I think it was me, bro. I was
What?
I'm the one who was being fake. It's
Oh
like I went to
God,
work and
goodness me.
I think for the sake of like comfortability, for the sake of not knowing what I want to do and like scared of committing to like building myself more into this field and then having more to lose. When you have more to lose, just like as a flat like given, even if you don't want to lose it. So it's like I don't
Yeah,
know. That
that's
was
why the
something I
unseen
know.
nobody has so much more power.
The unseen nobody.
Has so much more power
In what do you like? What context? Like that
in
doesn't.
so many things because it the crux is you don't have a whole lot to lose. In fact, you might have nothing to lose. You're an unseen nobody. You're it's fallow ground. You can
Yeah,
only build. There's nothing to knock down.
I see what you mean. Yeah, like there is like a low risk to it. There's just like open, like it's like an open plane. Sky's the limit. Like
Yeah,
you are
build your
able to.
skyscrapers now.
Yeah. No, but in the sense of like, I think what I meant was that like if you work 3 years into like a math degree and then you switch your mind and you want to do like English or like media or like art or like science or like something else, it's like you already took 3 steps into that direction. And changing your mind, you either have to just finish this and then make a turn, or you just make that turn right now and like bail on all the like progress that you've made.
Yeah, the sink
That
cost
like that,
fallacy.
yeah, that's the word. Yeah. So it's like you know what I mean. Like so that's the loss that I'm referring to. But I see what your point is too as well. Like your perspective of like the fear of starting something, the fear of like failure towards a new project or goal. That it's like what's there to worry about when yeah like it's like there it's such a huge field and you're like a tiny person on a huge planet. The
Yeah,
unseen like nobody that's like you can do it, scream out into the void and make it. And there is a chance of succeeding and there's not, but there's no like loss. Like just do it. Like I agree with like yeah, you know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
a different perspective of that situation you were saying.
I was reading Rick Rubin recently, and he said ultimately your desire to create must be greater than your fear of it. I think that goes for every human being because we're all trying to create something.
Yeah. That's actually funny that like you said that. That's also related to a book about forgot the name. It's like some dude who interviewed 100 like successful people and
Mm.
then like made a book and the different like things he noticed are similar in all of them, certain traits, certain like I swear, and it's like a well-known book. I just can't think of the name, bro. It's crazy. But in one of the like rules or like chapters, it was the rule of desire, and it's like it's crazy. It's like your desires on like how you can control them, what you like align them towards, how you like take control of them, of like steering them a certain way. It helps you either achieve something or you just kind of like not achieve anything if you don't have it like backing you up. If it's you know what I mean, like if it's like facing this way but you're going that way, your desire will always be like, oh, I like to buy like pistachio chocolate, but you're just always going for like a strawberry cheesecake. You know what I mean? Like
No,
it's not.
absolutely. I've been thinking about this more in my life recently. Like, I'll give you a very in person or in the moment example. You, I've been meaning to have you on my podcast for nearly 2 years now,
Oh, bro, I appreciate you.
but like it was always in the back of my like always in the back of my mind. I gotta get Zaheer on
Yeah,
someday. I gotta get him on someday. It
have one,
took me
bro.
like 2 years to get you on. Why didn't I just get you on when I first thought about it? It's like
I feel
paying
that.
attention to that thing that comes up to you. Like, oh, that thing, it came to me for a reason. I should get to that as soon as possible. And sometimes things do deserve the time that they require, but sometimes it's like you have nothing to lose. Just go for it. That thought came to you
Yeah,
for a reason. Pick it.
100%. I agree with that. Yeah, I am very guilty of like having that fleeting thought or feeling, and I'm like, hey, that's a really good idea. I should just capture it and make actions and steps on it, but I'll just like it'll fade away, but it'll just store in the back of my mind. And when I do finally get to it, it was that like roadblock or it was that door that needed to be open where I noticed I'm like, okay, so this is what I was waiting for. I've been like clearing things off my list. I'm like, nothing's really changing. I don't feel like I'm progressing. And I'm like, oh, that fleeting moment, idea, thought, impulse, desire, but in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is a good idea. This would lead to more opportunities. This is a random thing that could do different, numerous things for me. And the
Yeah.
loss of it isn't really not that big of a deal. Like, not showing up for like your job or your like classes, that has like an immediate consequence. But
It really
certain
does over
ideas,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like certain ambitions and goals don't really have a direct loss. It's just a loss of like, oh, you didn't do it. You know what if?
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't have like, oh, you missed a deadline. There's a penalty. There's a fee. Hey, you had to pay this
Yeah.
credit card bill.
Even the example you gave of the pistachio chocolate, I love that example because your desires escape you quicker than you think. I could really crave a pistachio chocolate right now, but maybe I
Yeah,
won't next Thursday or something. So
yeah,
while this desire is here, and if it's harmless and if it means something to me, why not go for it? Why wait if you know what you want?
100%. Yeah, like I would say though, it's again like not to like use the word balance again, but it's like in Islam, everything really is like a mizan. You balance
What does that
between all
mean?
the
The
visions.
Mizan.
Mizan is just balance in Arabic,
Okay, interesting.
and it's like just used in Surah Rahman. That's why like it was on the top of my mind. And it's just like even in like the desire aspect where you said that I agree with you, desires are short and fleeting. That sometimes you do have to think about it. Is it like a fleeting moment feeling that's coming up, or is this a reoccurring like pattern or idea or thing that I keep going like, hey, maybe I can do this. Like, sometimes you do come up with that random bros talking on like a 3 a.m. group chat, come up like, oh, bro, we could sell like Sharaka me's for like, like, and then you already know you have no contact, you have no like producers, you have no like experience in it. You just randomly came up with that instant thought. And then for sure, like, those type of desires, ideas, or impulses or ambitions come up. And sometimes they're not worth going after, even if you feel like
But
you're in the wrong.
that term you used right there was so powerful. Recurring pattern. The recurring pattern, I think, in my experience, is the most indicative of, hey, actually, I think you really do want that thing, and you should pay
Yeah,
attention. And in cases like that, that's where maybe you did really need that time that it took. You did need to be patient. And it had to keep coming to you for you to realize this is something I'm really interested in.
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Facts. Not like not necessarily allowing yourself to have like regrets, but I feel like that is the higher minded solution or approach to anything in life. Because like it puts you in like a flow state of like time is exactly where it needs to be. God's plan is like to like circle back to what we were talking about, how like everything has its own timing. That even if you didn't do it for so long, there was probably a reason for it, like you said, that maybe needed to teach you the importance of its to you. Like, you know what I mean? If you had already gone for it initially, built something and then left because you're like, oh, it's just another one of my like side quests. And then you go through a bunch of like trials and errors and you're like, wait, that was the like right choice. But because it came so easily to me, I didn't realize that was worth it. Like I was like, okay, it just comes and goes
Yeah,
though.
isn't
And
that an
then
interesting phenomenon that you said right there? Sometimes when things come easy to us, we sort of push them away. And it could be like a really amazing, brilliant, beautiful thing. But because it came so easy, we're kind of suspicious of it. Or maybe we
yeah,
take it for granted and just push it away. It's like, wow, well, what a phenomenon. Because I feel like I've experienced stuff like that.
yeah, like same, likewise, bro. Likewise. It's like I don't know if it's more related towards my pessimistic outlook or like, you know, if there is an underlying like similar thing. Because at the same time, I do notice myself not going after it because I'm like I don't go for the easy choices because I was like, always a kid who chose a difficulty like option in like games. I would always choose
Give
like
me
the
God
thing
of
that
War.
yeah, like I don't know because I was like it's gonna be easy and easy's gonna be fun, but I know I'll get like I don't know, like it wouldn't feel
Some
the
games
same
are a
feeling.
lot more fun when they're on a really difficult level. Like if you ever
Yeah,
played The Last of Us on Grounded, it
oh
really
true.
amplifies your senses. You're on another level.
On God, no,
Every
but the
bullet counts, every bottle and brick you pick up makes a difference.
yeah, but I feel like it's like both in the sense like yeah, like some people like do it after a first playthrough, like some stories, like the Last of Us storyline was crazy. That I feel like
One of the
if you
best
were to
stories out
lose the
there.
story initially from how difficult the game was, I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice. You're like, nah, you could have enjoyed the storyline and actually like gotten to experience it, and then you're like, okay, you know what? I gotta play through. I know what it's like. Let me actually like
Yeah.
play
No,
the
that's a
game.
great point. I love playing the games on the harder level in the second playthrough. You get more of an
Yeah,
appreciation for it.
yeah, like yeah, that's like facts. Like, and it's like kind of going with the same thing with like life and like things and people. For me, most of my stuff came easily to me because I was just like going with the like easier. I'm like, I'm good with numbers, so let me do accounting. Oh, I'm good with this, let me go with that. And then I noticed when I got the stuff, I'm like, yeah, this like, you know what? Anyone else can do it. But in reality, other people are looking at me, going, how did you do it? You know, I like it's like being grateful of your position, regardless, even if you don't feel a lot, even if it came easily, even if it is on a whim, trying to count your blessings in it. I guess that is like a, general motto of like Islam and like
Yeah.
most self-help things, most self-growth things. Is just starting with kind of like where you are and just like accepting and being grateful for that start. Even if it is on easy mode or even if it is on hard mode, you're like, hey, at least I get to play this game. I get to like,
It's reminding me of Remy from Ratatouille and how he has this skill and this talent to,
yeah,
sniff out
that was a good
poison.
movie.
And then his dad puts him in charge of sniffing food to see if there's poison in it. So people get in, or the rats, they get in a line and they bring him the food and he sniffs it. It's like it's so easy for him. But because it's so easy, he kind of loses the appreciation. It gets boring. But what
Not like
enlivens him is that when he goes into the kitchen to cook, make good
yeah,
use
I
of the
was gonna say
talent.
that. Yeah. That's like a good way to like, build on it. That it's like it just leveled him up even more and him pursuing the harder, the not mundane, not the repetitive task. Kind of
Yeah.
choosing like, you know what,
Meet
this is
meet the
like a
challenge that you can wrestle with.
yeah, that's nice. I feel like
Yeah.
yeah, that's where growth is in life too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That if you did the same thing every day, for sure it'll work for as long as it works. But if nothing was to grow, if you weren't to expand your like skills or expand on anything, then you just like how they say like on like Ramadan, it's like if you don't maximize on your like worship time, quote unquote, you're missing out because it's like a freebie. It's like a free high, like double XP like month.
Oh, dude, such a good point.
That
And
it's like
especially in the context that we're talking about, it's like how fortunate are we? It's a freebie. We're living Ramadan. It's a freebie. Why not take advantage of it?
yeah, actually yeah, that is like connected with
Yeah,
that. That's true. How's your
dude.
Ramadan been going? Or like
Honestly, this Ramadan was the quickest that I've experienced. It was the quickest, and it. I mean, I'm so grateful for the opportunity, but I felt like I wasn't able to savor it. I feel like there's been the previous Ramadans. I've savored them. I can feel it in
mm,
myself that I savored it. This one, I don't feel like I savored it. I felt like it kind of just passed me by almost. Even though I was there for the Tarawih,
yeah,
even though I was, involved, I guess, it just felt like it passed me by.
dang, I see what you mean. It's like has it been relatively easy in the sense of like the fast itself, like not having to eat or drink, still showing up for whatever you gotta do. And
Yeah, no, thankfully the fasting has been fine. It hasn't been anything challenging, but I don't know, it's just the timing of Ramadan. It just felt like it literally is, that the example of the blinking of the eye.
oh
Kind of felt like
yeah,
that in a way. I
that's
also feel
true.
like I wasn't really, although I was involved at the masjid, showing up at nights, I feel like I didn't really do anything community wise. I went to Clear Lake for their Tarawih one night. That was amazing. And then I went to the Texas Sahur Fest, and that was
Yeah.
it. I wasn't involved in any other events this Ramadan. So it kind of feels
Oh
like,
yeah.
it doesn't feel like FOMO, but it just feel like there's an absent space, like a little void of, oh, you could have filled that space up with something, but you didn't. Is what
That's
it
true.
is.
Were you like in school every previous Ramadan, like for
I
like since last time?
was. I was, and I think there's some connection there.
Yeah. Did you recently graduate? Like what year did
I
you?
did last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice, congrats, bro. What'd you like graduate in, if you don't mind me asking?
I graduated in psychology.
Okay, yo, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you mean. But yeah,
Yeah.
like and like just to connect with like the like yeah, we were talking about it earlier too, and, like kind of circling back. In a way, this is also like the most isolated Ramzan for me, where I've been at home, work from home. Most of my classes are
Yes.
from home, other than a few like school related things that I go to. And then I haven't really been to like any like cities or anything like that. And it's the like least amount of taraweehs I've been to because I'm either at work, like I'll just be popping in another shift at like my job, or I would be like ready to go to bed because I gotta wake up early to like work again, go to class. But in the previous ones, I was always at like school, either attended Taraweeh, always at like a volunteer event. And the more
Those
activities
events
that
hit. The volunteer events
yeah,
hit.
like even if the like in the moment, I don't really, they weren't like, oh, life or, like it's not like the best volunteer event, but like having a bunch of I like things to do, activities stacked, like you said earlier, of like being in a school environment, you're just exposed to that socially active life, even if you don't want to be a part of it. And even if I do the bare minimum work, it's like I'm just getting so much like feed, like things fed on my feed related to networking, connecting with other people, like
Yeah.
social events happening. And then as soon as you leave that school environment, it's like, yeah, like unless I go in, find it, update myself, reapply to things, re-put myself into like things. Cause you know what I mean? Like it's like flowing and then you're just like a rock that's left on the side. It's like now you actually have to make the effort to go back into like the know-how,
Yes.
stay connected. Like you said, like even old friends,
Yeah.
you need the person to initiate it, even if they don't say screw it. You know what? I'll be the one to like, hey, let's make time, let's do this, texting, calling, etc. Updating yourself with like news articles, with what's happening, and like following the most up to date pages, making time to go to like volunteering, etc. Like,
Yeah. And speaking of all that, my friend Renee, I don't know if you remember him,
yeah, the
but he would frequently mention you. He'd be like, "Dude, that guy's here. Like, he's cool. I need to hang out with him someday." And
no,
he would mention it many times, and I would say to him, "Bro, hit him up. Like, go for it." I don't know if he ever did, but I remember at some point he kind of stopped mentioning that. But there was a time where he would frequently mention that, like, "Dude, I gotta hang out with him." I don't know if you guys ever made that happen, but it's interesting that
I see. Now he was a really cool
those.
dude. Yeah, like it was a really like he's a really authentic guy. Like he was like just being himself. Did he
He's
ever
an
like convert to?
observer.
Oh, I did notice that. Yeah, he would always be like just chilling, and that's where I would be too. That's what I noticed. That's a cool thing that you said. That like
Yeah, he's an
I
honorary Muslim.
oh, I'm surprised he also attended so many Islamic things, but he didn't like
He did.
convert.
He was, and he would actually he'd boast about it. He'd be like, "Dude, that's something I have under my belt. That how many Mexicans do you know, non-Muslims, that can say, yeah, I know all this about the Muslim culture, and I've been around to these different mosques, and I know Muslims across the city." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you have
That's
that under your
true.
belt. People don't know."
That is true. But I guess I just see it as like my not to make it a big deal, but like my failure to not like have him converted. Like I should do it like you gotta like everyone. Nah, JK.
He
But in
has
the
to
same
someday.
sense, it's
Someday he will. I hope.
yeah. Like, cause like I see a huge effort towards like I don't know if you heard about that recently. Islam in Spanish
It's a
got
great
a masjid.
facility.
Yeah, they got a masjid. They're like do like Islamic related things for the Hispanic community to make it more available, to make it more reachable and accessible. And it's like that's
Yeah,
also like one of our like foundations. It's like not to like be overbearing with it, not to be like that guy who's like nonstop like bothering someone with like religion. Like, have you met our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Like, not to like force that to people's face, but like being such a like accommodating group of people that if someone was to just be like curious, especially now that Houston is such a like GTA map, there's like people from all types of people, all types of religions, cultures, traditions, and it's like just because it's there and it doesn't have a profit incentive, it doesn't have like a return on investment. It's like you should still put in time and resources into the accommodation aspect. I'm like, okay, you know what? Are we getting this community? Are we getting that community? It's not just like, oh, the Desi people are here. We have our own Desi masjid. He only speaks Urdu. I want to hear nothing else. It's like for sure, some people are gonna be like that. But if we were all like that, it would take away from how like Islam was built on, just like how America was built, of
Yeah.
just random groups of people coming together and going like, we all believe in one thing. Let's all like unite. Let's settle our differences for the sake of a certain standardized way of living.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'm glad you brought that up. I enjoy meeting new groups, different groups of people, just kind of throwing myself out there at people that I wouldn't normally interact with. And it feels like germinating in a way. Because now that I know someone, maybe I don't have to preach to them at face value, but my Islam, there should be some of it at least in the way that I am. And hopefully, maybe that could rub off on someone. They could think about that. Go, where does that come from? And then maybe that makes them interested in learning, you know?
yeah, I agree with you. Same, like I share that feeling with you about like putting in that work to be able, just for the sake of Islam, really. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there is like, I'm not trying to be fake. I'm not trying to pretend to be a good person. It's like, I hope that is like who I am. And it's like, and that for me, it just derives from that exact like thing where it's like, it's just going to be more beneficial and better to be more of a helpful person to like know that I carry like the Islamic badge on me and to represent it in a good way. Even my own people, even Pakistanis, even if it's like in
Yeah, with
whatever
everyone.
sense. Yeah. As a man, like,
Easier
as like
said than
a,
done.
yeah, 100%, 100%. But I feel
Yeah.
like it's just like, it starts with just kind of like not being publicly a public nuisance. Not to like make it like,
That's a good way to put it.
like you
It
don't have
starts
to
with not
be,
being a public nuisance. That's a great
yeah,
one. I got to
like
quote
you
you
don't
on
have
that
to,
one.
you don't have to like be like a person who does the most, but at the same time, in a world where there are people actively doing the opposite, building against, destroying, adding more confusion and chaos. I feel like the good starting point is to go like, you know what, I'll do my due diligence. I'll actually be myself, an informed individual, rather than going like, oh no, Bethany needs to change her mind first before like I change my mind.
Bethany
Or like,
needs to change her
or
mind.
like this, or like a lot of people now. There's a lot of like creator culture where people are like, oh, this creator thinks a certain way, feels a certain way, so like I'm just gonna align myself with them, not realizing they are their own individual, complex being. Like you can have your own values, you can have your own decisions. You don't have to just go like with the Roshan. I said this on the news, so like that must be true. It's like, oh, my favorite person said XYZ, so I'm just gonna blindly follow it. It's like, you know what I mean? Like
It's like human nature. Yeah.
I see that's true. You can argue
Yeah.
that it's like humans are
And I hear what you're
inclined.
saying. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like I gotta be more like lenient with it because it is a more human nature tendency to just go towards it. That maybe I'm doing it as well in my own way that I don't like recognize it, like putting
Yeah.
religion or putting like the prophet, for example, peace be upon him, as like my own biased individual. That I'm like, oh, his beliefs and values. I'm gonna like someone else could disagree with that. Like, oh, well, like, I don't believe in him. So then I gotta find a way to approach it in a different way, not to like just be like, oh, just because this book said it. It's like, nah, like I know I'm gonna like say something different, but it's like I went to like other religions because I was confused in Islam for like a while, and I explored a bunch of different like spiritual modalities, religions, anti-religion talk, just to kind of see what's out there. And for me, maybe it's my bias of growing up Muslim, but both logically and spiritually, I was like, it just kind of makes the most sense for it to be Islam, since it's like if it is a good natured being, then most of its messages are sort of aligned. And when you look at it, Buddhists, uh, other religions, other like forms of like scriptures relatively say the same thing, but our human like tendency to follow a human being, like follow like a certain like person takes over. So you're like, no, because it's like Jesus Christ, because it's this Imam, because it's like the leader of this sect. It's like, you know what I mean? Like they'll follow that, and that's where their connection is to that sort of way of thinking. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm thinking XYZ because of Nietzsche, or like I'm thinking of like certain logical ways of thinking because of Plato. It's like for sure there's people out there like that, but you can build off of them to like equally speak on those things. Like you
No, I
don't
know
have to
what you
just
mean.
reference,
I
yeah,
know
like
what
you
you
don't have to
mean.
reference a third person to like speak on a truth.
I don't
It's a
know
good,
the detailed intricacies of the story, but I knew someone who they left their wife and their kids because their peer or their mom told them, and they've devoted their existence to this one religious leader. It's like, what?
uh,
That's not what it
those are,
means to be a Muslim. It's not what you do.
those are
And
the
his
like
wife was a good lady. It's not like she was a bad lady or anything like that. And I mean, the children, it was a strange phenomenon, but I remember thinking about that and going, people can really dupe themselves so much by forgetting that they are an individual. And that's not, I'm not saying that to promote, sort of individualism, but the recognition that you're a human being and that some things should just kind of obviously seem wrong to you.
yeah. I think yeah, it doesn't like highlight
Like
individualism,
another example is Rick
self
Rubin.
accountability.
I was reading
Uh-huh.
his book, and in the book he gave an example of how something had happened to his appendix, and this doctor had told him, "We got to cut it out of your body." And he felt unsure about this, and so he went and he picked up a book. He randomly opened it up, and the first thing he read on that page was,
So don't fall
"If
out of
a
appendix.
doctor tells you that
Oh,
something in your body is unnecessary and needs to be taken out, then they're wrong." And Rick
uh,
said, "I still have my appendix and I'm fine." And I thought that was so beautiful because it goes to show that sometimes we attribute all the knowledge to an expert, but that expert is just as human as you. And sure, they might know a thing or two, but they don't know everything. And I think that example really highlighted it. And I'm sure even in your own experience, maybe you went to a dentist who he has all the certifications, but he was a terrible dentist. I'm not returning to that place. That guy sucked. You know what I mean?
yeah. That reminds me of the movie. I feel like you've seen it, Interstellar.
It's funny. I remember I put that movie on. I was in high school. I put that movie on right
And you
after I
fell
came
asleep.
home from
Oh,
school, and I fell
yeah,
asleep on the sofa. I
yeah.
woke up and the ending is playing, and my parents were really invested. They were watching it next to me. I'm like, what? So I haven't seen
Oh,
the film. I've missed it.
oh, bro, it's a definitely a must rewatch. Like it's like it this one phenomena where he travels to like the fifth dimension, but it's really just him back in time to a certain scenario in a different perspective. He's just like this force that's like moving and like working. But to him, that's his perspective. He's like, I'm there right now. But he's really like 100 years ahead of like the actual thing and event itself. So it's like when like spiritual like or like just coincidences happen when things are aligned to you. It's like yeah, I feel like it's just like something's trying to guide you towards going a certain way or like making that decision. And it's like God, they say God works in miracles, and the miracles are other people, other like it's not necessarily like a magic wish, but it'll be something like, oh, you hear something on the news, or like you meet a guy who's friends with the same thing that you've been looking for, or like you've been working on XYZ for a long time, and then all of a sudden you get a lucky break to the most from the most randomness, like doors that you didn't really think about, or like certain life decisions happen, or life goes in a certain way that you're like, yo, I would have never thought I would be here in this moment doing XYZ, working towards this goal if it wasn't for these like losses, this person that I missed out on, this person that I once thought was like, oh, I can't live without them. Now I'm like, yo, like I could easily see a life like with myself and me succeeding. And it's like I don't know what I was on. I don't know what I was tripping on. It's like you
Yeah,
realize like, yeah, it's just like a certain feeling or self desire, but it's like pushing through.
yeah. No, speaking of which, going back to creator culture that we're living in, sometimes we might think, I mean, don't get me wrong, networking and connections are important, but
Yeah,
sometimes we place too much of a stake on someone else. I have to have a connection with this person. I have to be friends with them or whatever because we
yeah,
think that maybe some of their success or something will rub off on you. But then you realize, wait, actually, no, I'm fine. As you said, I'm fine. I can succeed by myself. I don't need
yeah.
that. I don't need to be dependent on that person. All you need to be dependent on is Allah. That's about it, really.
Fact,
Without
yeah,
without undermining networking and connections, but I mean, I
yeah.
think that
I see
really
what
is
you
the
mean.
crux of it.
But like there's like a saying, there's like it's like about contradictory advices where
The
in many ways,
duality, the duality.
yeah, because in a way you're 100% right, but there is a what came up to my mind when you were saying it is like the saying where they're like, give me the five people around you and I'll tell you what you're like or like what you're you know what I mean? Like if they say you're a sum of the people around you or like the people you spend the
Yeah,
most time with. So it's like sometimes just being in the circle with that type of person who is successful will subconsciously rub off. Not that you're like going like they'll give me a loan or a handout, but it's like you just hang out with that guy who's successful and eventually his attitude, behaviors, way of approaching situations and handling things and like an open mindset will rub off on you. And you won't
yeah,
necessarily need it like a loan, like, oh, here's like a small loan of $1 million. Thanks, Dad. Like, nah, it's like, oh, I see how you took that challenge. Oh, I see how you approach it. I see the way you're like seeing it. You're seeing the gains of the situation and then learning how to see it from their angle.
yeah. It's a
Kind of like,
marvelous learning opportunity to be in
yeah.
proximity of someone. I remember Naman Ali Khan, he talked about this one time where the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, he ended up becoming someone of such high status in the Egyptian government. But how did that happen? He doesn't have any formal education. In fact, if anything, he was a slave and a prisoner. So how did this
Mm,
happen? And he was
yeah.
saying, well, if you look at his life and you examine it, when he worked for, I forgot who he worked for, but he was it for lack of better words, a governor of Egypt. When he was working for him, he was in his
Yeah.
proximity. So
Yeah.
that's how he
He was his
learns.
prisoner. He was his prisoner, bro. He was just
Well, he
physically
became
there.
later, but before he was like his
Yeah.
housemaker or something. And
Even before that?
yeah, remember like he got bought in Egypt and then he was working in the house of that guy.
I
So
thought, oh, I see. Oh, like yeah, before he got arrested of like
yes,
his wife,
of the
like,
false accusations. Yes.
oh, okay, that's what I
Yeah.
was forgetting.
But Noman Ali Khan's point was he didn't have any formal education. He didn't have any of that, but he was in proximity to this successful man. And so he got to hear and listen from him that, oh, this is how
That's
you deal
true.
with this and that. And I think that's a
True.
beautiful example for all of us because we live in a digital age where I could read a book by Rick Rubin. I could watch a lecture by Noman Ali Khan. I could play a video game where Kratos says something insightful. And so there's so many different opportunities to learn.
Yeah, that's so true. You just gotta be the receiver of it. Like
Yeah.
you have to change your perspective of it, be open minded. And it's like, yeah, the universe is just like starts from you. It's like what God says. It's like everything starts and ends with you. So it's like
Does
there's
he
no
say
point
that?
in judging others. As in like not really, but it's like a spiritual saying. And like in like in a
No, but
sense
it's an
like
interesting saying. It's an interesting saying.
yeah, like
I
in a
know
way
what
to
you're
relate
getting
it
at.
to some, it's like it tells you to be self accountable. It tells you to like judge yourself harder than you judge others, to like give other people leeway and to like be
99
stricter.
excuses.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
like
crazy thing if you think about it.
yeah. So
Crazy
I
in a
guess I
good
just like
way.
made like
That
a, yeah.
yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, but
But no, yeah, I agree
yeah,
with you.
I
That
hear what you're saying.
it's like that like you have to give so much like it's literally telling you to give 99 excuses for somebody else.
Which
And like
you, if you put that into perspective, I mean, if I have beef with someone for whatever reason, whether it's actual or just my perception, 99 excuses is a lot of excuses. I mean, try
well
coming
yeah,
up
but
with
I think
just
it's like
five.
again, it's like a metaphorical saying.
No, no,
It's
no.
like that's it.
I'm not criticizing the saying. I'm saying like, how
Yeah.
beautiful is that? That
Oh yeah, like
okay,
even
if you
five
really
is
have beef,
oh yeah, I
come
agree
up
with
with
you.
99 excuses for them. That maybe they were sick, or maybe they ate something
Yeah.
wrong for breakfast, or something like that. I mean,
I see
the
what you
amount
mean.
of
Yeah, from
leeway
that
you
point.
have to give a person is immense. It's incredible,
Yeah,
really.
I see what you mean.
But Zahir, this has been a fun conversation, man. I was
Yeah, bro,
wondering,
that's true.
do you have any closing thoughts, man? Anything you felt like you wanted to say you didn't get a chance to, or something on your mind that you wanted to express?
No, bro, that was a solid, like, insightful, like, conversation with you, and like, I think I talked about many different like topics, touched on many different genres of
We
things.
were like the world tree. We branched off into so many
Yeah,
different stratospheres.
like each one of its like things could have its own like summary and like a sentence that summarizes that specific like route of conversation. But I would say for me, like yeah, like I guess Ramadan's really helped me connect with Islam more. I'm noticing it's like Islam is just like a multitude way of life, from just how you do your business, how you handle your relationships, how you handle yourself, how you handle like decision making. It's like it has like a encompassing thing,
Yeah,
and I
Islam is
know
a
there's
way
a
of
lot of
being.
yeah, just like any like monk or like Buddhist way or like a spiritual way. It's just there's more rules and stuff, so like people don't like accountability, and it's like not to like call
They don't
anyone
like
out.
accountability. They don't like
It's
shame or
like
guilt.
yeah, this is like coming from my own experiences. It's like realizing self accountability, even in situations where someone else may have done you wrong, or someone else betrayed your trust or broke your heart. Being accountable in that situation, as much as you don't want to, is the only way out and forward. You could wallow in it, you could be resentful, you could be, but like I could have done this better. But it's like not to like be like, well, you could have done better, but to just go like, okay, this is what happened. This is it. Sometimes things don't even have like an answer. You just go like God willing. Something was meant to like break me, to make me more empathetic, to make me more understanding, to make me someone more resilient. Versus if it didn't happen, yeah, what if the next thing happened and I cried like a baby at the age of 30, like 30, but it's like, nah, I had my crash out earlier on. So I'm grateful for like the difficulties because it only made me someone who could face a more difficult challenge that God is preparing me to. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like it's just like a
great
set of
point,
like
man. Great point.
yeah, life is just like a set of challenges that you can either look at it that way or you could be pessimistic and nihilistic and go like there is no point to it. But
Yeah,
life is so limited. If you do that, you're just gonna like it's gonna go by like that, and you're not gonna even like know that
yeah,
oh shoot, I wish I did this more. I wish I did that more. I wish I like stood up for this. I wish I pursued this.
and savor it because, like, for example, I platinumed God of War Ragnarok, and it was a fun time. I really enjoyed that game. But at
Uh,
the end, I was like, I'm glad I took my sweet time. But now there's nothing else left to do in the game. Enjoy
mm,
that journey while it lasted.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, because like the destination will be like game finish regardless.
yeah.
But it was really
So
fun talking to you, bro. Yeah.
yeah, same here, man. And it was great reconnecting after 3 years almost. But yeah, I had a good time. Thank you for being here. I appreciate
All
it.
right, man. For sure. I'll definitely like we keep in touch, talk more.
Inshallah, yeah. You take care, eh?
All right, bro. Inshallah, you too, man.
Thank you.